Hello coding friends, good to see you again at Code Masterclass. Today we've got another problem, find pivot index, and we are going to solve this question in Python. So let's get started and find the question description in LeetCode. Here's the problem statement. Given an array of integer nums, we should calculate the pivot index of this array. And the pivot index is the index where the sum of all numbers strictly to the left of this index is equal to sum of all the numbers strictly to the index to the right. And if the index is on the left edge of the array, then the left sum is 0 because there are no elements on the left side, and this also applies to the right edge of the array, right? And at the end, we should return the leftmost pivot index, and if no such index exists, we should return -1. Now let's look at the examples here. For the first one, if we got an input like this one, we should return 3, because if you look at the index number 3, which is this one, the sum of all the elements on the left side is equal to 11, and sum of all the elements on the right side is also equal to 11, right? So we should return 3 as the output of this function. Now let's come back to the Visual Studio Code and try to implement this problem in Python. Now, and as a first job, let's define the function signature here. So let's say class solution, and our function def pivot index self and nums, which is going to be a list of integer, and at the end we are returning an integer, right? So let's say return integer. Okay, now I want to define two variables to calculate the total sum of the values inside the input list, and another one to keep track of the left sum at each index. So let's say total sum is going to be sum for nums, and left sum is going to be 0. Okay, now to fix this issue with the list, let me import it at the top. Import, actually from typing import list, right? Okay. Now let me make the for loop for I and value in enumerate nums. And at each iteration, I want to calculate the right sum and compare it to the left sum. And if it's equal together, we should return that index, right? So let's say right sum is going to be total sum minus left sum before adding the value of the current index and minus value. And if right sum is equal to left sum, then we should return in this specific index, which is going to be I. Otherwise, we are going to add the value to the left sum. So let's say left sum plus equal to value. And at the end, if we went through this for loop and we didn't find anything, we should return -1. Return -1. Now to test our implementation, let me come back to the browser and copy the example from here. Let's come back to the Visual Studio Code and paste it just right here. Okay, now let me make an instance of the solution class. Sol equal to solution, then let's say print sol pivot index for this input, and we expect to have the 3 as a result. Open the terminal and run our function. It's 3, right? Now as the last job, let's try to submit our solution to LeetCode. Come back to the browser, paste it here, and then hit the submit button. There we go. Here's the solution for this question. Thank you, everyone.